Okay. So I guess what we'll do, since just two of us, and you're having a little trouble with this. Ernesto said he had trouble with number 5, but he seemed to think the rest were okay. And because the thing we're going to do today is review for him because he had me last semester and we did that. So maybe what we'll do, that's what I'm thinking, we'll review these and maybe see if we can get this really solid. So you know, got it, right? And then do like an introduction to the next chapter. It's actually chapter 1.5 and 1.6, and it's graphing equations. And then on Thursday we'll do that like really careful. So like kind of get you an idea so you're like, oh yeah, I remember. Because it's been a while since you did math, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is all right. This will work out good. All right. So what you want to do them all? You want to do all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do them. Ready?
Ready.
Ready, Freddy? Ready, Freddy. Okay. Number 1. Oh, you're a caregiver, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how sometimes if you're sleeping and you cross your legs, or you're just laying down and you cross your ankles, and sometimes if you don't look, you can't tell which leg's on top? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how like with these 2 fingers they share a lot of nerves, their middle 2 fingers?
Yeah.
So I had a really deep splinter on Sunday right here. It went like really deep, all the way to the bone. But this finger hurts. Yeah. Oh, you can't see. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's right here, but this finger hurts. This finger hurts, but this is the one that had the cut. Isn't that weird?
What happened? Yeah.
It's just a splinter. I was just working with wood, and it just went straight in, and then it broke off, so we had to cut it and open it up to try to get out the splinter. Yeah, it's weird because my middle finger hurts, not this one. It's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's see if we can do this. Oh yeah. So today's the 30th in 2018, and this is lesson number 3. Oh, I almost forgot. On the 8th, no class. That's not Thursday, but next Thursday, because I have something in the high school and I have to go. So we won't have class. What we'll do is I'll give you a practice quiz, and I'll give it to you on the 6th, on Tuesday. Okay, and then I won't grade the practice quiz. It's just to help you get ready, and then our first quiz. Quiz number 1 is going to be on the 15th. And that's where you're going to get most of your grade. I almost forgot that. And then I'm just going to write down number 1. All the instructions were solve and graph. Okay, so solve, let's see here. Let's see if we can make sense. Solve means x by itself. So these were inequalities, so you're going to have something like x is like this or like that and like some number, right? Okay. And graph means to draw a picture. All the answers. Okay. So we got that, right? So let's talk about, because I remember you were getting confused sometimes, like you're doing it backwards. Like let's say that, right? Let's say we had to graph that. In words, this says x is less than or equal to 5. So that's less than or equal to, right? So x is less than or equal to 5. So some numbers that would work for that would be like, some examples that would work would be like negative 10,000. Because that's less than 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to be, I'm going to draw a picture of the answers. That needs to be on my picture.
Mm-hmm.
The line we draw is the answers. So there's 5. Over here somewhere is positive 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And over here is negative 10,000. And 0 and 1 and negative 42 and all those numbers, right? All of these are less than 5. So my line needs to have all of those numbers because those are the numbers less than 5. So solid dot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The arrow says the answers are this way. And there's none here because the arrow is not over there. So when you're drawing your picture, you have to, I guess you have to make sure you read this really careful. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now this means the same. That's the same. Same exact thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't just point it the way this points. You have to read it. This says, it means the same, but it's different, right? It says 5 is bigger or equal to X.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to come back to these two things because that's going to help you draw the picture. Okay. Listo?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got a review. We're ready to go. It's going to be awesome. Are you excited about it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Best day ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 3/8 X is less than 9/16. Okay. Everything's positive. So we don't have to worry about changing this. But we have to get X by itself. We have to get this all by itself. And the thing that's keeping X from being by itself is the 3/8. And the 3/8 is multiplying. So we have to divide both sides by 3/8. That's weird.
Oh.
But do you remember the way you divide by 3/8 is you multiply by the reciprocal. You flip it over and you multiply.
Yeah.
So we're going to multiply both sides by 8/3. And then we're going to reduce. So like over here, 8 goes into 8 one time and 3 goes into 3 one time. So you're left with 1x, which is what you want. Mm-hmm. Less than. Now let's reduce before we multiply. See 8 and 16? 8 goes into both.
2.
Yeah, so 1, 2. And here, 1, 3. Mm-hmm. Right? So 3/2. That says x is smaller than 3/2. All the negative numbers are smaller than this. So if this is 3/2 right here, or 1.5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Circle. I'll use a different color. Circle. And then smaller, like negative 10,000 is smaller than that. And negative 10,000 is over here. So I need to draw my arrow that way. Because this is saying the answers are that way.
I got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Cool. So you're 1 for 1. Get the first one right.
Mm-hmm.
No problems.
No.
Watch you get them all right. That would be funny because you said you had a hard time with it, but if you got them all right, then that just means you need more confidence. Okay. Number 2 is a little trickier because number 2 has a negative and we have to divide. So we have to divide both sides by -6, right? Okay, dividing by a negative, that gets switched. -4. Good. And it's less. Less. So to the left. -4. Circle. Yeah?
How easy.
Did you get that or no?
No.
Well, the mistake you were making, you're right. Like, think about negative 10,000. Is it true or is it false? Because negative 10,000 is going to be way over here. So if it's true, if negative 10,000 is true, your arrow goes that way. If it's false, it goes the other way. That's all. Increíble. While you're writing, I'm going to go ahead and write down number 3. Is that color hard to see?
No.
No? Okay. It is on the screen on the computer.
No.
But there it's okay. I see. Okay. This one's going to be tricky too. Because you see it's a -7, and we're going to have to divide by that -7. So we have to be careful of that. But we're first going to subtract 2. The 2 is actually positive. I have to subtract 2 from both sides. And this makes 0. Do you see? 2 minus 2 is 0. So we're left with -7x is less than or equal to 21. Good so far. Okay. Divide by -7. You have to change that sign. Yeah?
Really?
When you divide by a negative, you have to turn this around.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, like, check this out. -10,000 again. It's not true. -10,000 is not bigger than -3. It's smaller. Because to the left, so let's say 0, right? Bigger is this way.
Okay.
Smaller is this way. So -10,000 is way, way over there, and -3 is like right here.
Yeah.
Sorry for writing so
Goes
small.
to the right?
Farther to the right, bigger. So bigger to the right, smaller to the left. Yeah. So.
I got the equation, but.
So you had the graph wrong, but the equation right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and graph this one now. Let's say this is -3. Solid dot. X is bigger. Bigger is to the right. Good? Good. So you were getting mixed up. Here's where you're getting mixed up. You're getting mixed up which is smaller. Like those two.
Okay.
This is smaller. That's smaller. Because it's farther to the left. Dang. Now you know I teach the other class, the Math 81. It's like intro to basic math. Do you know why those students struggle? Because they don't do their homework. Because they'll do their homework, but then when they get stuck, they quit. And they're like, oh, I don't know. But because you were making a mistake, you can see your mistake and then you learn from it. I wish I could convince those students that they're going to learn when they mess up. Because they think they learn when they get it right. Well, you don't learn when you get it right. That just means you already knew it. It's when you make mistakes.
Teenagers.
Most of them, yeah. Most of them are teenagers. Or if not teenagers, very young. You know, like 22 or, you know, something like that. All right. Okay. Number 4. Thing is, you have to be brave to make mistakes. And people are afraid that, you know, they're not perfect. And I guess, well, that's sad because...
I always say, I don't get it, but I'm going to try.
Right. Yeah. And you know what that means? It means if you don't get it this time, you'll get it eventually. No big deal. All right. Number 4. Yep. So here we have to distribute and then combine like terms. So let's see here. This one's going to be 3x minus 9. This one's going to be 2x plus 2. Last time I was doing 2 steps at once. I don't know if that... So like we did this, right? So 3 is bigger than 2, so we want to move the 2. It doesn't mean you'll get it wrong if you don't. It's just something to help keep it easier. If you move the smaller number, it's easier. So we're going to do that. Okay, so that's 0, that's 1x. Now at the same time, we could also, like here, I'll show you. Do you see our next step is going to be to add 9, right? And we could have done this in the same step up here. We could have also just added 9 over here instead. And then instead of having that as a separate step, done. It doesn't matter. Either way, if you want to do, like you could do it this way, or you could do the way I started. Doesn't matter. X is smaller than 11, so an open circle at 11, and X is smaller, that's just left.
Got it.
Smaller left, bigger right.
Got it. Right.
So these are these are smaller,
Yeah.
which means left. These are bigger, which is right. The only problem, the only place you get in trouble is if you had something like this.
Negative numbers.
No, if the X is on the other side.
Uh-huh.
This says X, this says 7 is bigger than X. And so that graph, even though this says bigger, we said bigger goes right, this one's going to go left because X is smaller than 7.
Okay.
7 is bigger than X. So X has to be less than 7, and smaller is that way. X is smaller. It's like saying you're shorter than me, or say I am taller than you. Same thing, but you say it backwards.
Got it.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right. Number 5. Well, good. I'm glad you're here and we could go over this. Fantastic. 3x plus 1 over 4 less than 1/2. Here's what I would do. If this were me, I would multiply both sides. I would multiply, like you see this is 1 divided by 2. No. Well, actually here's what I do. Watch. Do you see I got to get this x by itself. And I've got it, it's multiplied by 3, it's added 1, and that whole thing is in a group being divided by 4.
Mm-hmm.
I would multiply both sides by 4. 4 over 1.
Yeah.
Because that reduces, and you're left with 3x plus 1 is less than.
That's what I did.
1/2 of 4 is 2. So subtract 1, divide by 3. Done. Now the fun part, the graph. Circle, smaller.
Yeah, got it. Right. Yeah.
So you're good.
Yeah.
So that's not so bad.
No.
Just the like the direction of the graph. But I think you got that now.
I thought I made a mess, and I'm not.
So how many did you get right?
4.
4 out of 5?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's good. That's yeah. That's 80%, and that's when you're learning. So that means you would do better on that than on a quiz because, well, you learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I think we're gonna get done early, huh?
Yeah.
Would that make you sad?
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here because I know that. I'm glad you're here because you learned that about the inequalities and the graphing.
I refresh in my memory.
Right. And I think that like this quick review we do is going to help too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I was hoping like, oh, I hope she doesn't show up because Ernesto already said he wasn't going to show up. I'm like, but that was selfish. That was just me, but you know. All right. Now.
My book is gonna arrive tomorrow, I think.
Okay, good, good. Let's see here. I think I get to give you a personal lesson on this because you're the only one here and you haven't done this for a while, so I think I can give you a lot of background information, so it'll be easy.
Sure.
That's our hope.
Sure.
All right. Last time we did inequalities, they weren't equal. And there was only one equation, one letter. Now we're going to do graphing equations, and what a graph is a picture of all answers. Graph is a picture of all the answers, just like last time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, though. So, do you remember that this is x and this is y?
Yeah.
And this is 0, this is 0, 0. It's called the origin?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, let's say that's 5. Let's say that's right here. Let's say, start over. I should have used pencil. I'm sorry. I was going to use the same number, but then that won't help you if in case you're getting messed up. So let's say 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That number right there. Because it lines up with x at 3, and it lines up with y at 5, it's 3, 5. X first, y second. Yeah. Now, if that was a point on a line, like let's say this line. If that was a point on a line, then that would be an answer to an equation. For example, this line is going to be 1, 3, 4. That's going to be 1/3 x plus 4. I know, but I'll show you. I'll show you. I just made this problem up, but this is the equation and this is the line. And here's the idea. Every single dot on this line is an answer. So what that means is like we could just pick a coordinate like this, and we could plug in x for 3. So 1/3 times 3 plus 4, and you see y equals 5, and it's going to be true. 1/3 times 3 is 1, plus 4, that's 5, right? Every point on this line is going to be true. Yep. And any point not on the line won't be true. So I'll pick one more. You see that point right there? It's called, that's 0 for x and 4 for y. That point is also true because, let's see, y is 4. That's called slope. That's called the y-intercept. So x is 0 plus 4. That's true because 1/3 times 0 is 0. 4 equals 4. But if I picked one more point, like this one, not on the line, right? And this point is 0, 1. If I plug in 0, 1, I get 1 equals 1/3 times 0 plus 4. That's not true. 1 does not equal 4. It's not on the line. It's not an answer. Okay? So I guess this is what I just want to be really clear. Because this is the big idea. When we draw a line, what we're saying is every point on it is an answer. Everything off of the line, not an answer. Okay? All right. Now let's see here. This one right here, it's called linear. It's called linear because, do you see the word line in it? Lines are straight. That's straight. Not all equations are linear. Linear equations, the exponent for x is 1. They also make a straight line. And I only want you to be really careful with that because we're also going to graph stuff like this, but we're not going to do it today. And we're also going to graph things like that, but we're not going to do those today. But these are not linear. They're not lines. This one right here makes a shape that's called a parabola, and this one kind of looks like a sideways S or something. So we're going to do both of those, but for right now, we're going to do these. Linear. Okay? Okay. I have a question. question for you. To make a line, how many points do you need?
To make a line?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, okay.
Five.
We could do 5. Oh my gosh, 5. Okay, let's start here. I made a point right there. Can I make a line?
Yeah.
Any line, but I don't know if it's right. 2 points. 2 points. I could connect the dots, but I could still be wrong. But if I had 3 answers and they all made a straight line, then it's probably right. So we need a minimum. You could do 10.
3?
Yes. If you want to do 10, you can do 10. 3 points. And you got to remember, each point is an answer. It's a solution. It's an x and a y that makes the whole equation true. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this t-chart. So what we're going to do, we're going to find 3 points. And we're going to do this one right here. Y equals, oh man, it's going to be a fraction. It's going to be awesome. 4/7 x plus 2. Oh, I'm going to show you a trick though, okay? And Ernesto's going to be he's going to be all celoso because I don't think he knows this trick. Okay, you ready? What we're going to do is we're going to make like a chart. Oh yeah, it's going to be organized because sometimes when you're finding these points, you do all kinds of work and you have scratch work over here and some over there and you get confused. So we're going to do all of our work right here in this little chart. Now watch. On this side, we're going to pick our numbers for x. And we can pick anything we want. And then we're going to plug in x here in the middle and we're going to do our work and then we're going to write our answer right here. And then we'll have all 3 answers right here. Okay, you want another shortcut? Well, the thing makes it easy. We want to pick numbers that will reduce with 7. Like 7.
1.
Yeah. Well, so it's going to be y equals 4/7 and then times 7 plus 2. Do you see? Yeah, they reduce to 1. And then there's no more fractions, so that's 1 times 4 is 4. 4 plus 2? See? Easy. Don't pick 3, because then you have like 12/7 plus 2. You have to get a common denominator, and then you have a fraction for your answer. So pick a denominator, or pick a number for x that will reduce with the 7. So 7, 14, -7. And the other thing you always want to pick, the easiest number. Because look, watch.
0.
Right. That's just 2 then, right? 0 plus 2? 2. Okay, fact. When x equals 0, that's where the line crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is the axis that goes up and down, right? So we don't know where. Like this one's 2, so it's going to be up here somewhere. But not even knowing what number this is, if x equals 0, somewhere on this line, somewhere on this axis, your line is going to cross. So it's going to be 0 for x, and then some number for y that we don't know. It doesn't even matter. Like always, if x equals 0, that's where your line crosses the y-axis. And that has a name. It's called your y-intercept. Intercept just means cross. Remember? Long time ago, right?
No.
That's okay. Long time ago for me too. I thought this like in November. Not that long. I was being silly. I was just being silly.
This is 28 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I know. I went back to college when I was 30 something. I don't know, 33. Yeah. Yep. So I understand.
I start when 37, 38.
Yeah. So a little more. But, I mean, yeah, it's a long time and you forget. So let's pick another number. And since this was positive and that one's not, it's like not positive or negative, let's pick a negative. Let's put in -7 just so we kind of have a balance. So you try it. You put in -7 and then you see what it is and then we'll graph it. Is that okay? Because it's multiplying.
Oh, yeah.
I know. When I was looking, I'm super tired. And so I'm like looking at it. I'm like, wait, 4 minus 1, but it's not -1. It's 4 times -1. Huh. 4 times -1 is -4. Plus 2 is -2. So it's -7 and -2. So we have 1, 2, 3 points. So we're going to graph it. The reason, though, I want to make sure you understand, the reason we have 3 points is if your 3 points don't line up, then you made a mistake. The nice thing about the chart is you can find your mistake really easy because all your work is right here. So it's easy to find your, whereas if you did it as scratch work, like a lot of times people do T-charts like this. And they just pick numbers and they do scratch work and then they, like that, and they say 0 and 2 and -7 and -2. Like they do like here,
Yeah.
but you can't find, if this is wrong, I don't know where the work is. So you can't, if you make a mistake, you can't find it. So I like this. Yeah. Okay, so let's graph it. Ready? So I'm going to write my 3 points right here. I'm going to write my equation first. 4/7x más 2. And then our points were 7, 6, 0, 2, and -7, -2. So let's graph it. Now I don't have a ruler and I don't have graph paper, but we don't need it. We can just be careful. And you can use like your driver's license or something for a ruler and just draw it like this. It's probably good. If you just make your marks careful, 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of make them even, then your graph will be good enough for what we're going to do right now. And if you need a really accurate graph, I'll give you graph paper. Graphing accurately, like without mistakes and everything, is very important. But right now we're just learning how to graph. And we're not using the graphs to like find other information. So just being close right now is good enough. So 7, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right there. And 6 is right here. So it's going to be, I'm drawing the dotted lines, but you don't need to. I usually don't. Oh my gosh. Do you see what I did?
No.
That's 6. Do you see what? Oops.
Okay.
That's why you should use pencil. And I just did that because I'm tired and I wasn't paying attention anymore. And I even wrote the number where it belongs and I still went to the wrong one. Okay, no big deal. 0, 2, right there. That's your y-intercept, right? -7, right here. And -2 right there. And then conecta los puntos. I'm going to use this for my ruler. Conecta los puntos. Done.
Do you learn Spanish with your students? on high
Sometimes,
school?
yeah. Sometimes. I think I probably knew that before I was a teacher, though. Because I knew what the word point was. Because there's a company, and in their name was the word point. And so I knew the name, and then connect is like really similar. So maybe, I don't know. Conecta los puntos. But I like the word. I think the word puntos is funny because you really got to make sure you have the N. All right.
I think I talked to you before when, like 3 years ago, over there.
At the other place when
Yeah.
we were over there.
in the
Yeah.
cafeteria.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. About math?
Yeah.
Why did you want to be in the class, or were you asking for help?
No. Yes, we were talking about classes, and you were sitting on there,
Hmm.
and we asked, "Are you studying here?" No, I'm a teacher.
I guess I was.
Math teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
We say, "Wow, he's
Oh, yeah.
very young." We.
Oh, yeah. I'm still older than you, though. It's just I look young. It's my beard. It keeps me young.
No, I don't think so.
It's actually being around teenagers keeps you young.
How old are you?
40. I'll be 45.
You're young.
Well, compared to like for coaches, yeah, like they're all old.
Yeah.
Other than I think, other than Mr. Hayes, he's in his 40s too. But everybody else is much older. Like
Yeah.
most of them already retired and they just do this part time
Yeah, I
to
know.
keep you busy.
And I took classes with Mr. Dombrowski,
Yeah.
and I took classes with David. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name. His teacher from ESL.
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah. Slag.
Yeah.
David Slag. I knew him since I was a kid. Since I was like a teenager, I know him.
Really?
Yeah.
My son too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And Mr. Dombrowski too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he took classes with Mr. Dombrowski and here in the
NHS, yeah. Yeah, I've known David Slag since I was a kid because his oldest son, is my same age, and when they moved here, I met them. They lived like, in my neighborhood. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's how I met him.
Do you have kids?
2 kids.
Teenagers? No?
19 is the youngest.
Oh.
The oldest is 24.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
24 and 19. Yeah. Both in college.
Almost like me.
Yeah, almost.
I have 20 years old, 17, and 13.
Mhm.
They grow up so fast.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I'm still young.
See,
I'm
that's
just
right.
kidding.
We don't get older; our kids get
Yeah.
older. Right. But it's nice now that our kids are out of the house. And at first, it was kind of sad and lonely, but now it's just
Yeah,
me
I
and my wife, and it's
know.
nice. We like it.
I know because my daughter is 17 years old now, and he used to go out with her cousins, and my son too, and I feel alone.
Mhm.
Too young.
But
And-
after they're gone forever, like it's sad for a few months, but then it's nice. It's better because then you're you again.
More freedom.
Yeah, yeah. You're just you. You just
More
have.
time for me.
That's right.
Oh no, I don't want it.
It's okay. It'll be right.
My mom said, "You'll be fine."
You'll be fine. She's right. She's right. So let's talk about a couple things on this, and then we're going to be. That's it. Okay. All right. Now I talked to you about that point is called the Y-intercept, and for the Y-intercept, x always equals 0. Right? That's where the graph crosses the y-axis.
Oh.
Okay? And so
Okay.
always, 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 the coordinate is going to be 0 for x and some number for y. That's a really big idea. In fact, I don't want to talk about how to find it yet. We'll do that on Thursday. But I want you to understand this fact.
Great. Got it.
Okay, now here, right here is where the graph crosses the x-axis, right? That's called, we'll write it down here, that's called the x-intercept. For the x-intercept, and this gets confusing, the other letter, y, will equal 0.
Yeah.
That's confusing because it's backwards, right? But
that makes sense.
yeah, the coordinate's going to be some number for x and 0 for y, always. So if you ever see a number, comma 0, that's going to be on this line. If you ever see 0, comma a number, it's on this line. Yeah, I know it's a lot of information, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're just going to kind of introduce it, and then next time we'll talk about how to use it.
Okay.
One more thing, last thing. Slope. In Spanish, slope is a strange word. The math slope in Spanish is la pendiente.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird word.
Okay.
Yeah, la pendiente.
Thank you.
Slope is
I didn't know Spanish words.
yeah, it's called rate of change. So it's talking about it compares the output to the input as a fraction. So like for example, you have a job, you make dollars per hour.
Oh.
That's like slope.
Oh, yeah.
Or gas mileage for your car, miles per gallon. Yeah. Those are slopes, they're rates of change. Now let's see, almost done. If your slope is a positive number, that means the line is going up.
Okay.
But if the slope is a negative number, the line's going down. Like earning money versus losing money. If you get a raise, the number should go higher. Or if you lose, like you get a pay reduction, you make less dollars per hour, the line would go down. If the line was how much money you make. Right. And you can see slope by looking at a picture of all the answers. You can see how the output, because y is the output and x is the input, you can see how they're compared by looking at how if this is going up or down or sideways, like horizontal or vertical. And so the reason in English they use the word slope is because slope is talking about how steep, how fast something goes up or how fast something goes down. That's what slope is in English. It talks about how steep something is, like a hill.
Oh.
And so that's why they use slope, because they're talking about seeing it on the graph. But what it really is comparing two things. And so you can see, like, this one's positive because it's going up. Because you read a graph from left to right, so this is going up. And what you can do is you can just pick 2 points, 2 points on your graph. And you could draw like a triangle like this. Do you see?
Mm-hmm.
This direction is the output. And this direction is the input. And you just figure out what number this is. How far is it from here to here? That goes on the top. And how far from here to here? That goes on the bottom. And that's your slope. And it turns out, that's it, 4/7. This number right here in front of the x, when the equation's written like this, that's your slope, 4/7. So for every 7 input, there's 4 output. So it's like, this would be horrible. You work 7 hours to make $4. Right.
Okay.
Okay, no good. No, bueno. Unless it was 1,000. You worked 7 hours to make $4,000.
Right.
Now we're talking. Right. That's like politician money. Okay. Just to review, a graph is a picture of all the answers. Every dot on the line, even ones we didn't find here, every dot is an answer. So I could if I knew the number for right here, it would be an answer. But here, not an answer. And the way we find the answers is with the t-chart, right? And this one's called linear because the graph is a straight line. And we can tell it's linear because we don't see an exponent for the x, which means there's an invisible 1. And that's how you can tell by looking at this if it's linear or not. If you see a graph, an equation that has an x squared, it's not linear.
Oh.
Only if you see something like this, that's linear. Okay? And then we talked about the y-intercept has a 0 for x, the x-intercept has a 0 for y, and the slope compares the change in the y, the output, comparing to the input as a fraction. So we learned all that in 46 minutes. That's not bad. All right. Well,